Hey friends, Jim here with Philly Fixed. Welcome back. Fanttik sent me a couple pretty cool tools to review. We've got their NEX E1 Max cordless screwdriver and their NEX T1 MAX cordless soldering iron. Now, if you're like me, you might be a little skeptical of a cordless soldering iron. The thing's got to get pretty hot. Can it really do it on battery? Well, I think you might want to see how this thing performs. So let's get right to it. I'm going to take you inside for this video to my lab bench inside. We're going to unbox these, then we're actually going to use them on a little electronics project. So let's get to it. All right, let's get this soldering iron unboxed. User manual. Okay, so you've got your soldering iron here. It starts at 390, goes 480, 570, 660, 750, and 840 degree settings. So you have all 6 settings available to you. Those are in degrees Fahrenheit. You've got your power button, which we'll show you how that works here in just a minute. Also in the box, looks like you've got a solder sucker. Yeah, nice solder sucker. It's the same anodized metal finish as everything else here. So you can use that to do rework or desolder components. Probably got a piece of the stand here. I got a nice little felt storage bag, suede storage bag, whatever. You've got a bag with some sponges in it for cleaning your iron. I got a set of tweezers. Oops. All right, these went flying. You've got replacement tips for your solder sucker, which is kind of nice. These tend to hold up pretty well. They're silicone, but it's nice that they give you some spares here in the bag. Give you several. I think there's probably still some on the floor from when this flung open. And you've got, looks like a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. Okay, and I believe this is part of your stand, so we'll set that aside for now. This is the base. It says tips are inside, so you've got 4 tips here. It looks like you've got a very fine point conical tip, the curved conical tip, and 2 chisel tips. It's very thoughtful design there with the storage, so you're not losing the tips. And you just take your stand arm. There's 3 magnetic pins that you line up with the holes here. Get those in, and then it articulates, has a nice click to it. And then it has a little tray here, which looks like you can put your sponges in. I personally prefer to use these types of things, the brass wire sponge cleaners. But it is nice that they give you these little sponges. So we'll just put that in the tray. And we'll put the extra sponges in the handy little storage bag. And your soldering iron fits in here just like that. We'll take one of our chisel tips. I believe these are C210 tips. So you just take this little cap off of here, stick it in all the way till it clicks. Kind of clicks. And then you tighten it up. So to turn this thing on, you hold the power button until it blinks red to mean that it's heating up, preheating. I have it on the lowest setting. It should heat up to the lowest setting in 7 seconds or less, according to their literature. I'll put a clock on the screen after I edit this, but I think that was pretty quick. So we're at 390, probably in about 7 seconds. Let's see how much longer on top of that it takes to get to 840. Okay, not too bad. I've had old Weller soldering irons that took longer than that to heat up. And again, This is all metal, so you know, if you bump this with the soldering iron tip when you're going to put it on the stand, you're not going to melt any plastic. It's not going to fall on anything. I don't know how many of you guys have melted things on your workstation because you weren't careful with how you put it down. And even if you don't have the stand, you put it down. Now, it can roll. That's one bad thing, but when you put it down, this tip is not sitting against the table. So assuming it doesn't roll on you, you know, you could put it down and your tip's not touching your table, your soldering mat, or anything like that. So it's kind of nice. It has a nice rubberized grip up here. You can kind of get your fingers pretty close to the end and get good control and articulation. If you've used older Weller style ones, they usually have the big long metal tube up here and the whole thing is hot. And so you don't want to accidentally touch it. Again, it's more hot surface area to accidentally lean on something, catch it on fire. So I like this. This is pretty nice. All right, so I've got a power supply, switch mode power supply from a piece of electronics. I think it was a DVD recorder. Anyway, power supply doesn't work. The capacitors actually look okay, but I suspect them anyway. I already replaced the switching IC. So we're going to replace these three 1200 microfarad capacitors. So first I'm going to desolder them, and then we're going to replace them. I don't know what kind of solder they used. I think this is from the mid-2000s, so it's likely that it's lead-free solder. So we're actually going to go 750 degrees here. We're going to turn on our little filter fan. Hopefully that's not too loud. We're going to get some flux on here. Okay. Get our solder sucker ready. Nice. Wow. That was nice and easy. I think maybe somebody tried to repair this already, and they checked all the capacitors in circuit, because these are not my blue Sharpie marks. I mean, they could be from the factory for final QC, but let's do some just final cleanup on these pads. Shouldn't be too much left behind. So before, we had these Capzon capacitors. Never heard of those. But we're going to replace them with some nice Nicheon of the same ratings. And we're using some nice Kester 44 leaded solder. You know, some people have concerned about using leaded solder. Just wash your hands when you're done. Don't eat it. You'll be fine. I should have tinned my soldering tip. There we go. Okay. I don't like clean the tip off here. There we go. Okay, I am not an expert soldering guru here, so you can roast me if you want. However, good enough for government work. Let's clean our flux off of there. Again, my skills aren't great, but they look okay. That one's a little meh, but I think that pad was messy before. I am using leaded solder, so has a lower melting point. But yeah, overall, pretty happy with this. We got the screwdriver here. Let's get this guy out. So again, you've got a USB-C to USB-A charging cable and press area. There we go. So your screwdriver is kind of spring-loaded and pops out. It has, on top, it has a low and high setting as well as a lock so that it locks out your buttons. Also has a handy ring light on it. Again, everything's this nice anodized metal, which is pretty cool. But in here, you've got all of your screwdriver bits. Again, I like when they give you a way to organize the accessories to your tool. You've also got magnetization here, so if you want to magnetize or demagnetize bits, that's pretty nice. One thing I like is you actually get security bits in here. So you've got like the triangle shaped bits, the Y shaped bits, and then you've got square drive. You've got the, I don't know what to call them, the U bits. They're like a two-prong U shape. You've got some Torx with pin, security Torx bits here. You see those a lot of times on power tool batteries, actually. A lot of times, is it DeWalt, maybe? I'm not sure. But some of them actually have a security Torx bit, screws to open their battery packs. So it's nice that you have those. You have regular Torx. Of course, you can use the security Torx on regular Torx. You just don't need the little hole for the pin in the middle. You've got regular hex bits, slotted bits here, your star bits. These aren't Torx, these are actual star, like 5-point star bits here. You got a few of those. Slotted, and then you've got Phillips all the way down to Phillips quad zero. I don't know, how do you say that? If it was electrical, you'd say like double-aught, triple-aught, but really small Phillips all the way up to an actual decent size. It's a little bit of a longer bit, so you can get into tight spaces if you need to. Again, I think of taking power tool batteries apart, you know, where the screw is actually recessed into the plastic case, so this longer shaft will get you in there. All right, so I have a crappy old laptop here. Somebody probably left it with me to fix at some point. I don't know about you guys, but everybody seems to have that friend in the family or family member or friend at church that they always are the go-to for fixing things electronically. That's me. And I end up with computers that probably were crappy when they were new, and they're certainly not worth fixing now. So what we're going to do is just take the hard drive out of this, just to make sure when we dispose of it that there's no personal data left behind. So I got a Phillips bit on here. I have it on the high setting. These screws do have a little bit of blue Loctite on them. I don't know if this was a part before, but the screwdriver seems to be doing just fine with it. You got to get this keyboard out. Got our optical drive held in here. probably needed to switch to a smaller bit. The optical drive out. So we got one screw left hidden under a sticker here, probably for warranty purposes. The whole reason we're here is to get this hard drive out. Surprisingly, all Phillips screws here. Thought maybe I would encounter something else. So there you go. Screwdriver more than capable of doing electronics work like this. Well, I think the results speak for themselves. Nice little soldering iron. I think it can handle most small electronics work, no problem. I think it has nice design. Both of the products, they store the accessories nicely. You're not going to lose them. There's a place for everything, which I think, I don't know, you always lose the little parts and pieces that come with tools. The build quality is nice. Overall, just very nice tools. I have a 45% off coupon code on the screwdriver. Use code PHILLY-E1. Link is in the description below. And I have 40% off for you on the soldering iron. Use code PHILLY-T1 for that. Again, link is down below. So check those out if you'd like to pick them up. Let me know in the comments. Do you think these are worthwhile? Did you like me doing a video on something a little different than the normal power tools that I do? Let me know below. Either way, I appreciate you staying till the end. I'm Jim with Philly Fixed. God bless you guys.
Hello, I'm Jim Davis.